Hey, welcome to another episode of Violetmines. I am your resident private investigator, Mark Chauppetta, and joining me is my co-host,
Dr. Keith Ablow, the resident forensic psychiatrist. You always smile when I do my intro. Like
I don't know, I just like hearing it.
Okay, all right. Whatever I can do to improve your day. What is the F on your t-shirt? Is that an F?
Yes, I'm gonna go into that in a few minutes. That's
Okay.
part of my opening monologue. You're reading my mind or playing shrink on me. But yeah, it's a great day. Today is actually, let's give a shout out and a happy 213th birthday to Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, that's very nice. We need a Lincoln now, and not the Lincoln Project, which is a bunch of leftists trying to take over the country, but we need an Abraham Lincoln. We need somebody to sort of stride out of the woods carrying an axe and just, embody integrity and liberty and truth. And take the country by storm because of the sheer purity and power of his or her, could be Lily Lincoln, character.
Yeah, 100%. You think we should just start with the hats and then just kind of go from there?
Lily Lincoln hats? Why not?
Yeah. Is that what they're called? Like Lily Lincoln? I didn't know. What's a Lily
Lincoln? No, I want to write a screenplay with you called Lily Lincoln. And in the opening scene, I've got this whole thing planned. I'm just springing it on you now.
All right.
The opening scene is this string of black SUVs. And, they're driving up a long driveway that's unpaved. There's dust being kicked up everywhere. To the end of the driveway where there's a simple house, and there's a woman sort of holding court with her neighbors, and she's sort of tutoring them on liberty and autonomy and history, and they love listening to her. She's so compelling, so simple but compelling. And it turns out that her name is, Alice Jones or whatever. Right. But in fact, they've found out that she is the great whatever granddaughter of Abraham Lincoln, that she has galvanized this small community with her teachings and her passion. And they decide this is it. The Republican Party is returning to Lincoln, and they're going to run her for president against Hillary Clinton or some such figure. And of course, the intrigue starts there.
Awesome. Well, our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, born in 1809. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Steven, saying that 1809. That's
born in 1809.
What's going to happen 213 years from now when they're talking about President Joe Biden in the history books?
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. I always say the future defines the past, right? Because all it takes is one superhuman moment, or seemingly superhuman. Of course, the superhuman moments are done by humans, but it just takes one of those. So do I count out the guy because he's at 38 or whatever, or less percent popularity, and 50-something% of Democrats say they like nothing about him?
I saw that on the news this morning. Are you quoting the news this morning?
Yes, I didn't see the news this morning. I just retain these facts in my steel trap of a mind.
Well, you're only, it's kind of,
who knows? Maybe you'll outperform still, but go on.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like me in my profession as an investigator. You always say you're only as good as your last case, and maybe the last thing he does is going to be something miraculous, and that's going to change the so-called narrative. But
well, I've got some advice for him.
What?
He's got to go to the border. He needs to go to the border of Ukraine and Russia. Okay, he needs probably
talking U.S. and Mexico.
Right. He should do both.
Yeah.
But the moment now is Ukraine. I think he should go there, throw a podium down, and give the speech to end all speeches about autonomy, liberty, and democracy. And maybe, since he's given out crack pipes to everybody free, maybe he does a little crack before the speech, just to be
He's not doing that though, Keith.
on his game. What's
He's
that?
sending Kamala for that. He put her in charge of that. So that's not happening.
He needs to go. He needs to go, and he needs to be so compelling. I don't know. I don't think this is going to happen because it's not the man that I'm describing, but it would be wonderful.
So the thing I was going to say is, when I was saying what's going to happen 213 years from now in the history books, I think history that's being written from this day forward is being written by people that see it a certain way. So I don't think they're going to write history the way history actually happened. So I think it's
that's true too.
I think it's going to confuse a lot of generations to come, and they're just going to believe it as fact, when, the history books are probably being written by some of these woke liberals that have slanted views on things.
Yeah, I mean, think of where we could be headed. We could be headed to a time where you got competitions, swimming competitions, including women, men who say they're women, potentially other species or aliens from other planets who say they're human women. I don't know where we're headed, but we're not headed right now anywhere good because we've lost sight of the truth. Until that fellow, the woman, gets out of the pool, until that woman is out of the pool, our culture can't be defended.
No, no.
I mean, we're no better in some ways than the Taliban. They must be looking over here saying, they let their adolescents go in and have their body parts cut off. This is America. You guys want to be them? This
seems to be one of your talking points. It comes up on a lot of shows about having body parts lost.
You're analyzing the analyst.
Yes.
Well, I correctly identified and took the most heat for it of any media personality. I think I correctly identified the transgender phenomenon as one of the battlegrounds for truth and one of the litmus tests of whether our culture is going legit insane. And I did that way back when I was on Fox News, which isn't that way back, but I said people shouldn't have their kids watch Chaz Bono on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Wasn't a good idea.
It sends the wrong message to kids that might be confused, and
sends the wrong message to tomboys. Let's just say tomboys.
Right. My wife was a tomboy.
Right. And now she's a princess.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But if she had grown up now, some stupid ass 5th grade, 7th grade teacher would have said, have you ever wondered whether you're a boy? And then right over to Boston Children's Hospital, which should be being picketed every day by normal-minded people, right over there to get injected with testosterone to prevent her going into puberty. That's what they would have done.
So what are people going to do going forward?
You'd be living with a man right now, having sex with a man all the time.
True. Yeah, right. So what are people going to do going forward when they're in intimate relationships with someone? Is it going to get to the point where they're going to have to be a body investigator, and they're going to have to kind of go down with their glasses on and see if they see any scars or anything that may have been added or altered, just to because you don't know if you're getting 30 years from now or 10 years from now you're dating you're dating a woman and you fall in love with her, but she doesn't disclose that she changed. What are you maybe you're gonna have that conversation when it comes to having children, but she could also lie and say, I just can't have kids. Like, what do you do? Is it, do you dive deep and explore the area for signs of
well, you may not be able to discern. As techniques get better, you may well not be able to discern that. Number one. And number two, you're on the razor's edge, frankly, of what matters, because we'll go all the way back to Oprah. Yes. When she gave her Oprah Book Award to the fellow who wrote A Million Tiny Pieces, right? It was a book about his drug addiction and how he had triumphed over this horrible addiction. Wasn't true. Well, when that was discovered, the first thing she said was, "It doesn't matter. It was a great story."
Yeah.
Then she retracted it because people were like, "Oh, she's insane."
Right.
By the way, I was on her show a couple of times. I love her. I think she's fabulous. But that was not her best moment when she said, "It doesn't matter if it's true or not." See,
Right.
it always matters if it's true or not.
Right. See, my
Right?
brain's going down a road. All right. So
You
if
keep saying going down, going
my
down, going.
brain's
Do you know
there,
that? You've said it 17 times.
going down, I must,
Yeah,
I must be like, ready for some action or something. I don't know. It's been a few
or
days.
something like, well, you have to go down and figure out scars, this, that. I don't know, man. It's
So what if my
what did
wife
you do last night?
Well, last night I sat on my recliner and ate like a
Okay.
pig, because I texted you and said I wish you were closer. We could grab dinner. My wife was in school, and my kids all didn't want to hang out with me, and I just sat on my
On your
recliner.
recliner.
I had a French bread pizza and I had some cheese,
Nice.
and then I went to bed feeling disgusting, and holding a pillow against my belly.
I had pad thai, which I've realized there's this restaurant nearby. I can, I can have 2-3 meals from one order of pad thai. I'm trying to like do a low calorie thing.
Yes. Well,
I
this
was
is
thinking
different
about doing
between you and
intermittent
I.
fasting.
I have
Huh?
French bread. That's the difference between you and I. I have Stouffer's French bread pizza, and you have pad thai.
Well, Stouffer's. I used to like that actually. That's so interesting that you'd say that.
You
I
have
used to like that.
mahogany. I have cheap paint.
Well, but you have more square feet there just in your office than I have in my little big house, as the architect called it.
So
Said there's so many features in the house. It's a little big house. This is tiny. This is like a little hat. What was that called for hamsters? A habit trail?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like a habit trail.
All right. So let me ask you this: if my wife just discloses to me, we've been together, or actually our anniversary is coming up in a few weeks on.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's 2-2-2-2-2.
That's beautiful, actually.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really, really nice.
Yeah,
It's on the
22nd.
22nd of February.
Yeah, February 22nd. This year's the 20th.
You should get a tattoo. You keep getting tattoos.
Yes, I should. All
Yeah.
right. So what if my beautiful wife, who comes to me tonight, who I'm in love with, who has captured my heart, comes to me and says, "You know what? There's something I need to disclose to you." And granted, she has kids. So
Yeah.
obviously it's not the case, but
It's not true if it's about me and her.
well, maybe she comes to me and says, "You know what? I used to be a man, and my sons, who you've come to know and love, are adopted. What do you do at that point? What do I do at that point? Do I, does it matter at that point? Do I feel betrayed? Do I feel like I'm a homosexual? What do I feel like? Like, I don't know how to feel. Like, did you stay with her? Do you not stay with her? What do you do in a situation? Because that's going to be happening coming up. Like, these weird things are going to be fucking happening.
Yeah, they are. Well, look, I almost lost my bearings in your narrative. I almost thought, well, I mean, you love her, she loves you.
Yes.
No, you have this moment of epiphany where you would say to yourself, I'm living with a delusional person.
So, I mean, true. Yes.
My wife, quote unquote,
yes,
is actually my husband and is psychotic.
So this is a hypothetical, everyone that's tuning in right now. This isn't really happening.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical, but basically I was almost lured onto the dark side by your very poetic description about love. It's your anniversary. It's 2-2-2-2-2, whatever, because you were married on the 22nd of February. How beautiful, except she lied to you. She isn't a she.
Yes.
She's suffering with a mental disorder, I would say. And I know how much trouble I will continue to get in because I keep saying this, but now the world's coming around to my side. I used to be all alone in this. Yeah. Megyn Kelly on Fox News, Megyn Kelly, she was interviewing me about the Chaz Bono thing. She said, why are you spreading hate on my network with her? We're on the same team. Why are you spreading hate? And I said, I'm not spreading any hate. I just want people to be healthy and okay and not suffering any delusions. If you have the body and DNA of a man, and you think you're female, you should go to a psychiatrist, not a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think instead of saying, hypothetically, if my wife did this to me, I think instead of kicking her to the curb, just because we've invested a lot into our lives and, we're looking at a second home and, and she makes a good living. I don't want to lose that income.
Yeah.
I'd probably send her to you to, fix her.
I send her to me.
Fix her.
Right. But if I fixed her, here's the thing. She'd reverse the surgery to the extent possible. She'd stop using the estrogen. She'd let her body try to recover some production of testosterone and add more. So then I don't know, you'd have a decision.
Then I'd have someone to watch football games with.
Yes, you would. Here's one thing I'll tell you. I applaud the depth of your love for this woman, who hypothetically, as you're saying, in this wild scenario, is a man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you're that involved, it's sort of like you say, look, the world's crazy. Sure. I mean, let's figure this out somehow. But the trouble is, it's never just that, because it's never just, hey, listen, Mark, I was born male.
Yeah.
You would have lived a life of misery already with her running into all manner of mental health problems, cutting herself, overdosing, wanting to die. This is what happens. These people don't live happily ever after, right?
I'm glad your way of thinking is starting to come to the forefront. So, all right, so let's move on to that. I want to give a shout out. It's also Black History Month.
Great.
So that's an important time of the month, and I guess technically, you could somewhat celebrate me because my first wife. So I'm,
Your first wife, what?
My first wife was Cape Verdean, so that is considered.
Well, how do you get?
Through injection.
You get credit?
Through injection.
I don't know if that's accepted by. I don't know if that's accepted by Black Lives Matter.
Oh.
You should call for a consult. You should. Why don't we do that on the show? Call up for a consult and ask their opinion.
Yeah, well,
I'm manning the phones.
I married a Cape Verdean woman, my first wife, who's a wonderful person. I had 3 wonderful children with her. So, I have some piece of that myself.
Or something. I don't
want to offend any. I'm going to piss someone off.
I don't know. I think if Joe Rogan were to have said, I am part Black because for a long time I had sex with a Black woman, he might not have recovered and still be on Spotify. So let's get this out of our systems before we get to Spotify.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. So I'm not diminishing what Black Lives, Black History Month is. It's a wonderful thing, and it's something that should.
Now you're just issuing the disclaimer after the headline.
There's no disclaimer.
The headline was, you think that you're culturally entitled to appropriate some of the Black history because you, for many years,
it was a joke. It was
It was a joke. Okay. Look, I think, by the way, is there some truth to that? There, and I should not be getting into the pool when you're bleeding, but nonetheless, I will. I'll dive in. Yes, there is some truth to it. There is some truth to it, because if you join in union with someone who has a cultural history as deep and storied and real as Cape Verdeans do.
Yes.
And you're with that person, then you are, of course, boundaries blur.
Yes.
You are part Cape Verdean. Let's be honest.
100%. And when I met my first wife in college,
100%.
Yeah, when I met my first wife in college, I just grew up in a small town that wasn't very diverse. And if
in Cape Verde,
you were either white or you were Black. I grew up kind of not knowing what other variations, what other cultures were. So when I met her and she said I was from Cape Verde Islands, I had no clue what that was.
Right.
And she educated me, and I found out they were islands off the coast of Africa, kind of near Portugal as well. And yeah, it was kind of neat. And I still can, even though we're not together, we have children together, and I consider her family, like my brother-in-law is still my brother-in-laws. Like we're just family. And I'm not big on the food though, so I mean I struggle with it. It's a little bit. My kids love it, but obviously they were
Do
raised.
you ever think back to the times you were intimate with her?
Do I think back? What are you
Yeah,
trying
do
to
you
do?
ever like
My
relive
kid's
that?
editing. You know, my son's editing this, right?
But I'm just one. I mean, look, he's an adult, but
Yeah. Plug
but
your ears, Troy. What's the question?
do you ever think? Do you ever replay those scenes? It's no offense to your current wife, but do you do you ever? I could be getting you in trouble. I don't know. Do you ever replay those scenes and summon them back to mind in order to
When I'm
kind of?
intimate with my current wife? Is that what you asked?
No, when I was thinking specifically when you're not, well, that actually, now that you bring that up, what kind of therapist would I be
Yeah, right.
if I didn't go with it? So
Yeah.
yeah, occasionally when you're being intimate with your current wife, has there ever been a moment?
Of my
No?
first wife? No, hell no. And if
No, never.
no. And if I thought about, no,
Have you
no.
have you replayed it in your mind and found yourself getting, I don't know,
I remember.
moved?
Well, recently I was driving down. I was driving down a road in one of the rural towns here in Massachusetts, and I passed a rundown motel, and
Okay.
I hadn't seen that motel in many years. I was on a case, and it dawned on me that when my first wife and I were dating, well, her dad, who I became very close with at the time, didn't like me because I was white, and I was infiltrating their culture. So it was somewhat of a racist situation, I guess you could say, because they didn't like me for my color.
Right.
And
What does this have to do with the motel?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
So,
God, like I have
give
to
me a
hold
chance
these
to
thoughts.
fucking finish my thought.
Yeah.
So she snuck out of the house. Well, she was living at home with her parents. Now, mind you, she was in college, but still living at home, commuting. And she snuck out of the house one night and made an excuse. I think we had someone say she was staying at a girlfriend's house, and we spent the night in that motel. And and that was like the first time she had ever done anything like that. And that memory came back to me recently when I was driving by. Did it go as deep as what happened in that hotel room? No, I passed by the motel really quick, and like a person that's got a million things on his mind, I started thinking about something else.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. And this was the woman who became your wife.
Yes, we have 3 children together.
Right. So got it. Okay.
And I look at my, and my oldest daughter is very resembles her when she was younger.
Okay.
So I see through looking at my daughter, I see images of my first wife, but obviously it doesn't get any creepy after that point there, doctor. Sorry to disappoint you.
No, that's okay. It's only your mind. You don't have to fear anything you share with me or anyone who
feel like I have to fear
podcast or listen to it.
Like, why do I feel like I have to fear people that watch this podcast? Why do I have to fear that if I crack a joke saying that, there's a little bit of Black history in me because I have a history with an ex-Black woman, we had children together and we had sex together. Like, I feel like I'm going to be fucking canceled because of that shit. Like you said, why should we have to fear that stuff? Because that's not, it annoys me. Like I don't really have a hurtful bone in my body. I just try to be funny.
Well, because they want to paralyze everybody. The left wants people to worry about every single word that comes out of your mouth, which emoji you send, right?
Yes.
The thumbs up emojis.
Yeah.
Now you got to worry whether yours is too pale.
Yes.
Right. And you're trying to say something.
Yeah.
About,
well, we can talk about that, but let's segue into offending people, because you asked me earlier about my t-shirt.
Yes.
So can you see? I have to stand up, I think. So my t-shirt says,
okay, F disabilities.
Yeah. So basically F.
Yeah.
Fuck. So a t-shirt says fuck disabilities.
Yeah.
This t-shirt was designed and created by one of my twins, Troy and Andrew.
That's great.
Who produce Violetmines. And, you know, it's funny. I just sent them an email. Now, Troy and Andrew have been selling T-shirts at charity events for years, but they have this little fucking competition going on with each other. They both kind of have links to buy their T-shirts. And I'm like, look, guys, all right, fucking put your shit together. Create one site where you can buy your T-shirts, and I'll start promoting it on the podcast. And
that's great.
You know, so hopefully in the near future there'll be a link where you can buy these shirts. But yeah, this shirt basically says F disabilities, because that's what my kids say. They say fuck disabilities, we have abilities. You know, if you look at the word disability, you know, take away the D, the I, and the S, what do you have?
Abilities. Well, this is, it's like an IQ test, but yes.
So they created this shirt a while ago, and occasionally if I wear it out in public,
really cool,
I get looks and people think that I'm mocking the disabled.
Yeah, right. That's great.
If it said F the disabled,
right, that'd be a problem.
Right, that would be a problem. But since it has the IES at the end, I think that clarifies it. So yeah, so that's my kids' T-shirts. We have a few other ones that are actually my twins drive wheelchairs. That's their everyday.
Yeah, right.
Their everyday mode of transportation. And one of their famous shirts that they used to sell a lot of, which eventually will become available, is called "Keep Your Hand Off My Joystick."
There you go. That was a good one.
A lot of people come up to them, they'll hang, and they'll just start like touching their joystick.
Yeah, right. Why? I wonder why.
I think it's some sort of like people are uncomfortable around people that like, you know what the most common thing people say to first of all, because they're in wheelchairs.
Right.
People automatically assume that they're mentally disabled as well.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird the way people talk to them. They'll talk, or like they're deaf, they'll raise their voice. Right. Hey guys, how are you? And then the next thing, you know, 9 out of 10 people say is when they see the two of them, if it's someone and they feel uncomfortable, they say, "Do you guys race against each other?" Like meaning the wheelchairs.
Yeah, right. And like they want to somehow.
Yeah. And my kids are really cool. They know that it's not, you know, they don't get offended. They're not woke.
Yeah.
They don't have thin skin. You know, occasionally I tell them that, you know, if someone talks to them like they have a mental disability, that they should just start drooling and just go, I don't know, you know, but they don't. They're cooler than me.
Yes, and they edit this podcast, so
and they edit the podcast, and they know
great.
And they know that people just, you know, I don't know, they're cool. When kids look at their wheelchairs, they understand they're kids. Kids find their wheelchairs really interesting and really cool, but for some reason, adults think that, like, you know, they're race car drivers.
Right. There you go.
So, yeah. I don't know. We've been getting looks our whole lives together. You know. Yeah. It is.
So you're immune, or are you immune? Maybe you're not immune.
You know what? Around these parts, so many people know us, so we usually just get you know high fives or low fives or whatever. It's low fives with them because they have a hard time raising their arms. You know, but it doesn't bother me, you know. So these shirts eventually will be available, and we say F disabilities because we're all about ability in this world.
Right.
Violetmines.com. Make sure you check out the website. Make sure you check out links to Dr. Keith Ablow if you want to sit down with him and have him analyze yourself, your life, and give you some great advice.
Kindle self-esteem, energy.
Yes.
Increase your mood, whatever it is. I'm still working on you, brother.
Yes. Well, I'm a work in progress. If you need a dick, as in a private dick, then my dick's not for sale anymore, Keith. I've been married. But
there you go.
But my Dick Tracy persona,
yes,
is very much, you know, available.
Excellent. It's very much alive.
It's very much alive.
Available.
Well, this is the Clark Kent look. So when I take these off, yeah.
There you go. I like it.
I have superpowers.
So, yeah. So what emoji are you going to use? Are you going to continue to use the Caucasian white emoji, or are you going to switch to a tan?
Let me see. I'm gonna text you right now and see what automatically comes up on my thing. All right, so
Wait your text.
all right, you wait. So let's see. So mine just where is it? Well, see, I don't really send a thumbs up in the actual body of the text. Everything's yellow. Yeah, everything's yellow in mine.
Just hit the smiley face,
like,
and then all the emojis come up.
Like, I'll do this thumbs up, that one.
Which one is that? Oh no, that's here. You can't see it probably.
Can't see. Yeah, that's the cool. I just gave, and I see yours is yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
mine is yellowish. Yeah, I like that color.
But they're saying yellow is
what?
They're saying that I think yellow means like gender neutral, right?
I don't know. I'm not listening to these people because Apple also promulgated a man who's pregnant as an emoji.
I saw that. But like,
Apple should burn in hell.
Yeah, they should.
No, they really should. I mean, I have a little of their stock, and I have an iPhone, right? So I'm a hypocrite. But nonetheless, yeah, we are. But nonetheless, like, who was sitting around the corporate boardroom then? These people obviously are bad apples.
Right, no pun intended. And I think it's like, I have many friends that are black, and they'll give me the black.
Always say that. Do you know that you say that a lot?
I'm using it in the
I think it's not acceptable.
I'm using it in the context. I'm using it in the. I have plenty of friends that are white. I have plenty of friends that are fucking
Jewish friends. Do you have Jewish friends?
I do. My office partner is Jewish.
Yeah, and me
and you. I was using it in the context of what I was going to say. So don't fucking play shrink.
Yeah,
stop me.
I raised money for Ben Carson when he ran for president. So are they going to leave me alone? No.
Can I finish my thought?
Conservative.
All right, let me rephrase this. My black friends.
Yes.
Which I have many. Just like I have many
you
white.
Can't help yourself.
Just like I have many white and Jewish and Latino friends will send me brown or black thumbs up emojis.
Okay, great.
That's what I'm saying. That was the whole fucking point. I'm not trying to define that I have X amount of fucking friends of color or different races. I'm trying to say is that they will send me a brown thumbs up, and that doesn't offend me because that's the color of their skin, and if that's what they want to send, that doesn't offend me. If I send,
it shouldn't matter.
I send yellow, but I'm not yellow.
Yeah, I mean, I think
unless I'm jaundiced, I don't know.
I mean, I think everybody should be proud of who they are, ideally, right? We all bring something, and there's this myth that we all bring the same things to the table. Why? Culture is important. So if you have something special about your culture, I mean, other than Eminem, it seems to me that folks of color sort of own rap.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And I Eminem the rapper or Eminem the candy?
Eminem the rapper. Other than him, I'm not that much aware of other real raps. So there's something about that poetic form of art that Black people seem to be just better at creating, generally speaking. I don't think we have to take that and say, well, no, it has to be that everybody's the same at everything. No.
There are people that are better at,
Great.
I mean, God, I don't want to get myself in trouble, like women are a lot better at majority of things than men, for the most part.
Women are, well, I don't know about that. The majority of things, I don't know. I'm not so I don't know. If they're better at the majority of things, they're better at some things, and men are better at other things. And, you know, I had to have this discussion. I sat around the table once, way back when I was in med school at Johns Hopkins. My roommate was marrying the daughter of the chief of surgery.
Yes.
And we went to his house, and he was very elegant. And, you know, he said to Doug, my roommate, said, Doug, maybe we will go hunting this weekend.
Yes.
And Doug put down his silverware, and he said, this is, Doug, by the way, was a professional clown before med school.
Yes.
So great sense of humor. Exactly. And so we said, it's probably time for the talk, doctor. And Bridget's father said, talk about what? He said, Jews don't hunt, generally speaking. He said, we generally don't box.
Yeah.
Mike Rossman, he said, is an exception, but that's like the one person that we talk about.
Yes.
So anyway, we had this talk about, he was always very funny about some of these idiosyncrasies of Jewish people, being Jewish himself, like we were waiting at a restaurant, right? And it was such a long wait.
Yes.
And the maitre d' came out and said, you know, really sorry about the wait. Would you like to go to the bar and have a drink? And Doug said, no, we're Jewish. Bring food. Bring us an hors d'oeuvre. No, the drink is nothing to us. Take 10% off the bill. You know, your drinks, we don't care.
Well, I guess I guess it's okay for a person of a certain type to say things, but if anyone that's not that person, whether it's race, creed, color, they're not allowed to have an opinion.
I would have no problem with it, frankly. If you were with me and the same situation happened and you said to the maitre d', no, my buddy's Jewish, give us 10% off.
Right.
Be like,
yeah,
I'd laugh my ass off.
100%.
But we're screwed in this country.
In my Jewish friends, my Jewish.
You have a lot of them.
Yes, my Jewish. Well, I have two now. I have an office partner who's Jewish, and he's
I doubled your Jewish friend population.
Yes, and he's not cheap at all. And I've asked you for money to help with this podcast, and you're not cheap. So
no, I'm not.
So
one thing I'm not is cheap.
So that's two Jews that I know.
Neither of them is particularly penny pinching.
Neither of them who is cheap. So I just dispelled the whole common myth about the Jewish race. But two interesting things I saw. I don't know his name, but this whole scandal with strike that word. The whole the lawsuit, or the soon to be pending lawsuit with the coach from Miami that used to be the Patriots coach. God, I can't think of his name.
Belichick.
No, the black coach.
Yes, right.
Miami that's suing the NFL, that's in the media. Well, and we don't need to get into that, but the new coach of Miami did his podium introduction yesterday, and everyone was blasting him with questions about race. And he's like, I'm just fucking human. That's what I am. And people were ready to attack him for not, I guess, engaging in what's going on with maybe the lack of black coaches in the NFL and the accusations, because they assumed he was white. And then he revealed that he was biracial, that one of his parents was black and one of his parents was white, and the whole kind of tone changed.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's great. I didn't see that. Great moment.
Yeah, and he's like, look, we're human, and that I mean, unfortunately, that's the way it should be in this world. So we're getting close to the end of the show. We're gonna we'll touch on this subject, but again, I want to say, check out violetmines.com, check out Keith Ablow, myself. You can also see us on DB&A Television, which is an app on your what's it called, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku. There's a lot of great shows on there aside from ours, which I think is the best, but I'm biased. So you can check us out. There. All right, so we got like 15 minutes left on the show before we wrap up, and this very well could be our last show. because you were like race baiting me into things.
No, I don't think so, because well, we could get deplatformed, which is
You know,
what they
I
do
can't
now, like the
jump.
truckers.
You know
What's
that? I can't jump. And
You
I can't,
cannot jump?
no, and I can't dance.
Okay.
You don't get it?
Interesting. Well, you're grounded. I
You
would
don't get it?
translate
White
that
men
into a
can't
strength.
jump, white men can't dance.
Right.
I'm okay with the stereotypes when it comes to you know,
Being white.
to being white. Yeah, I'm okay with it because I can't. On that note, let's talk about you know, trucks. You want to play with
Yeah,
some
trucks. The trucker movement up in Canada, which is spreading apparently to the United States, where they fear they'll impact the Super Bowl?
I think they're just using that. I don't think the truckers have any intention of I think the truckers are going to be watching the Super Bowl.
Probably, although these are very brave, very hardy folk. They'll give up anything in order to pursue their ideal.
Yeah,
they do have balls in a world that has none. And so,
explain to people out there that may not watch the news what's going on with the truckers. I'll let you.
Truckers object to these insane regulations about vaccinations, where they have to prove their vaccination status in order to re-enter the country, or once they have left for America, et cetera, et cetera. And they've had it, and they don't want to be manipulated. They don't want to be told what to do like children, rather than looking at the information themselves and deciding, do I want a vaccine or don't I? Because reasonable people, frankly, can disagree. The science is not settled. Right. I got a vaccination.
Me too.
Others, okay, great. And we have no idea. 3, got it. So we have no idea what that means. Yes. We think it means that you and I are less likely, somewhat less likely to die or have a terrible case of COVID. We think that's true. I think that's true. Now, do I know whether that means that if I were to meet another wife and have a child, that my child might be affected by spike proteins having, sort of settled into my young bride's ova and my sperm cells? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Yes. And people can make their own decisions, whether they want to take the risk of COVID or the risk of anything that might come from the vaccine, like myocarditis and other side effects.
Well, you're 100% right. And you and I both put some trust in the federal government, in the FDA.
Very little.
In President Trump and Warp Speed, which seems to be dismissed in all this vaccine talk. And we got it for ourselves. But the federal government shouldn't be using their federal power. Biden shouldn't be telling Trudeau up in Canada to use their federal power to end this. The CNN commentator, analyst, I don't know her name. She shouldn't recklessly be tweeting about, the way to end it is by slashing their tires, taking the gas out of the trucks and towing them away. Those words are inciting violence. Trying to get the federal government involved to forcefully take them out is inciting, a potential riot. They're not terrorists. They're not insurrectionists. They're fucking heroes. They're the people that move our food to us, our supplies. And they were doing it when there was no fucking vaccine. So, so let them choose.
It's a tough knot to untie. They've got to, exactly. I applaud the stance they're taking. And the fact is, this is what happens when government overreaches and tries to run everything.
Yes.
Independently minded people eventually say, screw you.
Yes.
Right. Remove us with
the cops and the nurses. They were all there on the front lines before anyone even was talking about a vaccine, before anyone even knew if if the whole world was going to fucking end, because let's face it, we didn't know what was going on in the beginning because we were believing Fauci, and we were believing what was being spoon-fed to us, in the beginning. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, you want to talk about, this is a peaceful protest. What happened in the summer of 2020?
Yeah, this is a peaceful protest.
Yeah, what happened in the summer of 2020 with BLM and everything that was going on, those weren't peaceful movements, and the federal government wasn't speaking up and saying, get everyone the hell out of there, let's use force. They were just letting people burn shit down.
It's very simple. You want the trucks to move, reverse the vaccine mandate in Canada. Simple.
We're there.
It makes no sense anyhow.
Yeah, we're there as a society. We're there as a country. The Democrats, Democratic run states are backing off. Here in Massachusetts, our rhino governor, Charlie Baker, finally lifted the mask mandates with kids. So my youngest son, Max, who's a sophomore in high school, finally gets to, see if some of those girls he's smitten with actually have teeth.
Yeah, that's important. Although they say, people in masks are rated more attractive than people without masks because it limits the number of features. So for whatever reason, that tends to be generative of people saying more attractive rather than less. Interesting. I may keep my mask. I don't know. But here's the thing. It makes no sense. It never has made any sense. No one has ever demonstrated that my immunity, my likelihood of not getting COVID of a serious nature such that I would be hospitalized and potentially die is reduced by you being vaccinated. If I'm vaccinated and wearing a mask, I should be just fine right? No increased safety if you didn't get vaccinated. And I might even be better off if you're taking a few supplements to increase your immune system.
Can I ask you a question? It's it's probably a dirty question, but I don't know why people view sex as as something that's taboo or dirty, but
because it is. Because it is. No, just kidding. I'm like,
right. Well, it can be if you don't take a shower.
Not really.
But so during the height of COVID, do you think the sexual, there's many sexual positions out there. There's, whatever, do you think, how do I put it? Do you think the doggy style position was more effective during COVID because you weren't face to face and you weren't breathing on each other? Do you think people wore masks and, kind of messed around that way just to not have those potential COVID particles floating around in your face, Keith?
Interesting question. But
why does my brain think about that?
I don't know, but you could see how it is to have sex that way. It might be sort of interesting.
That would be called safe sex in COVID times.
Safer sex.
Yeah.
Safer sex. Yeah.
That's COVID sex.
Yeah. Right. But I bet people, what they did? They didn't commune as much in general, right? Because people weren't going on dates. They were so worried. They were so worried what it meant. Well, what if I am with somebody and she has COVID or whatever? I don't know.
My wife, who's a nurse, who's on the front lines. I will admit, when in the beginning, at one point we did wear a mask because we didn't know, and
you wore masks during sex?
One time, yeah, and but we weren't.
Was it good? Was it particularly good that way?
Well, it made me recognize your eyes.
Well, no, that's what I'm getting at.
I said, damn, you have nice eyes. I've never noticed them before.
It's interesting. That's really. Would you do it again in even non-COVID times? Would you guys just decide to wear masks during the act?
Yeah, but maybe like not an N95 or surgical. Maybe like some kind of kinky mask.
Maybe like those masks that make you look like animals.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
One that has like a red ball in front of it or something. I don't know.
I have thought maybe I'll always wear the mask because I'm rather infamous, as you know. And what I noticed what I noticed, and I'm also in enemy territory, right? I'm in Massachusetts.
Yes.
And so what I noticed is I felt a certain increased degree of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're supposed to feel like, oh my God, the government's making me wear the mask. I felt like I'm like any other bald guy.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, put on a toupee,
Yeah.
wear the mask,
Mm.
and I can be on the lam probably for years.
Well, yeah, someone just, you know, and it's funny, you see all this stuff, and I have a friend of mine, not to shift directly, but I have a friend that owns a jewelry store, and before, you know, you got to get buzzed to go in, and before anyone walks in, they have to pull their mask down, look at the camera, and they take a picture of them, and they go in, just so you can see the face, and you can identify. Now they're looking for bank robbers, and they're looking for, violent criminals, with only, just looking at their eyes and the top of their head and maybe their ears or other characteristics.
Right, exactly. The iris, they've got
Yeah.
scans that can detect your iris and the rest of it. Yeah.
Well, I want to apologize to Troy, my son, for he doesn't need to know all this stuff. And if he wasn't 27 years old, this could be a form of child abuse, this show, but he's an adult. And
He's an adult
his whole life.
And you neatly navigated the minefield that I set up for you. It was very difficult for you to dance around. I think
That was
tried.
Intentional. You're telling me that was like all part of your.
I thought, yes, I think you were very nimble, let's say, in dancing around the minefield of do you, and I consider it still an open question.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. If let's say your wife were on a trip, she decides to travel as a nurse. They're paying $1 zillion now, traveling nurses.
Yeah.
She decides, I'm going to travel.
Yep.
And your ex-wife were to say, look, she's away. It doesn't matter. Why don't we have just on the phone, just on the phone.
You know that, right? I have 2 ex-wives.
I'm talking about the mother of your 3 children from Cape Verde Islands.
Yes.
She calls and she says, listen, we shouldn't be together. That's wrong. But let's think about like the best time we ever had and just be together just on the phone that way.
When we were 18 and I'm 53 years old soon.
Yeah, let's go back there. Let's do this now. You'd say, I can't, honey. I can't.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. And if she began to weep.
No.
Please. No. Okay.
No.
All right.
No. I think you're projecting something in your life on me. That's what
she does that with me. She calls me and says, will you pretend to be Mark?
I'll tell her to call Dr. Keith. You're bald also.
I'll put on the round spectacles and
but can you put on
Mark.
these?
Wait, see? I don't know. I got to start working out more. We should really fight for charity.
I would.
Yeah, you would, but I'd be dead.
It wouldn't last very long.
I know. I wouldn't at all. I'd have to come up with a strategy.
I'd give you a head start. Yeah, I'd give you
does running is not allowed, right?
No,
you're not allowed to just.
I'm not very fast, but I'd probably still catch you even with a head start.
Maybe so. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Well, we could see. It's kind of like one of my favorite scenes. It's not a scene. Yeah, it was a documentary with Norman Mailer talking about being in the dressing room with Muhammad Ali. And Ali was preparing to face George Foreman, right? This human crushing machine. And not only were his team was not only concerned that he'd be defeated, they worried that because he didn't tend to back off and to take any steps backward, that he would be killed. They worried he would die in the ring. And there was utter silence in the dressing room. Yeah. And Ali, from this utter silence, says, you know what I'm going to do tonight? And everyone says, what? What are you going to do? He says, I'm going to dance all night. And then they started chanting it with them. He's going to dance all night. I'm going to dance
You trying
all
to say
night.
you're a better dancer than me, and that's how you win?
So great. Exactly.
The bottom line is you have many enemies. I'm going to
I do.
I'm going to soon start developing them because of my relationship with you.
Yes.
So
yes, you will.
So I'm best served as your bodyguard and in my own bodyguard because I can handle myself for the most part. So, but I thank you for complimenting, saying I'm a really good tap dancer. It's that's something I pride myself on. And on that note, I think we got to wrap this show up. This is going to be interesting when
Let's wrap the show.
Yeah, and I want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day coming up. You and your table for one.
Thanks for reminding me that I'm without my wife who, we divorced.
Sorry.
She's like 2 miles that way, right? And sometimes I'll try to think, what is she doing now in the house that I still pay for? Well, anyhow, that's the payment is not the issue.
Go get a boom box, right? Get a boom box. Put it on, a boom box from the 80s. Put it on your shoulder. Stand outside the window. You ever see that movie, Say Anything?
I'll be arrested. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
right, whatever. Yeah, people.
I thought you were gonna say go get a dog.
No, get a boom box and sing. There's I don't know what. Anyways, on that note, violetmines.com. You hang on, as you know the drill. Everyone, thank you. Big shout out to Troy and Andrew for
thank you guys. Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Andrew.
And promoting. You can find us also on the Getter app. And the Getter app, and then what's the other app? We're Parlor app, and follow us on Instagram. We have a new Instagram page, and we're gonna stay on some of those traditional platforms until Keith gets us canceled. And then
I'm on a mission to be the most canceled man in America.
You got it. On that note, everyone, kiss your loved ones. Valentine's Day is just not about having a significant other, it's just, we all love somebody. So send them a message and tell them. So everyone have a great day. Later.